Alrighty, this is the second video that we have on our station today. This one's called Command. It should be the one on your left, unless it's on the right, but it should be on the left. So this screen right here is how you do a lot of the command features on the ship, like set the alert status. That has to do with things like red alerts or yellow alerts, that sort of thing. You're also going to do things with records buoys. You're going to monitor crew levels, all that stuff. So just like the other computer, we're going to log in. So go ahead, take your mouse, click on that blue circle in the very middle, and then click the one that says Access Terminal. It's in the middle. Now you're going to type in your name to log in. Again, it doesn't have to be a full name. You can just put your first name, whatever you want. Pause this tape until you are done entering your name, and then hit OK. OK. Now come on. OK. There you go. So that is all for logging in. Again, we don't need to push these buttons. All we're going to do is take our mouse up to the very top menu and click Officer's Log. Hey, you might be saying, I've already learned this station, and that's because it's on both computers. So if the captain wants to make a log, they can do so. This is just like the other screen that we learned for Officer's Log. Now we're going to go to Records. Alright, so remember how I said we can prepare our officer's logs for records buoy? That's how you do this here. You are in charge of that records buoy. Now, you would launch this if you think for some reason that our ship is going to be destroyed. If there's a good chance that would happen, then you would launch the records buoy. Now, don't leave these in sensitive areas of space. If we're, in the middle of Romulan space and it contains some classified documents, I don't know why you'd be in Romulan space, but for whatever reason, if you are, don't be launching the records buoy, because we don't really want them to know that, we don't want them to read the information that could be highly classified, alright? It's up to your discretion when you're going to launch these. Now, entry title. I'm going to come here. This is the overview for the entire records buoy. This is the first thing they see. So I'm going to type in record logs of the USS Voyager. Now you can type in whatever you want, that's just what I'm typing in, okay? Now I can come here and I could say, these are the these are, I can't spell today, the logs of the USS Voyager, period. It's going to hit save entry. We have a lot of other features down here like we did on the other computers. Does the same thing. Now, over here shows all the logs we have, all the officers that have submitted logs. Right now, only you have, at least on my screen, it says only you have and this computer has. You're probably going to have several. You'll probably actually have like 5 to 10. But for now, hit Encrypt Records. What this is doing is this is going to go and it's going to change all the code and English to not be English. It's going to be a bunch of seemingly random characters. It's not random characters. You are going to need a Federation code cipher to uncipher that. So again, this is now our coded message. Makes it so that other people can't read it. Now hit Prepare Probe. So this records buoys are called probes. They're like small little robots that go into space. This probe is, we just launch it and then it sits there until someone finds it, I guess. It's really just a capsule. Alright, then hit Launch Probe. Alright, this is launching probe. And that is going to encrypt, prepare, and launch our probe. After you do that, the records are gone. You cannot get them back, so be careful. And anybody can go pick those up and read about what happened to the USS Voyager. So that's how you leave a message behind in case you think we're going to be destroyed and you want evidence as to what happened. Alright? Now go ahead, take your mouse all the way up to the very top. You're going to go to the second one that says Alert Status. Click on that. Alert Status. So, this screen confuses a lot of people, but it's super simple, I promise. Alert status has to do with how many people are on duty at any given time. Now, the Voyager has anywhere from 650 to sometimes upwards of 1,400 personnel on board. It depends on the mission we're going on. But at any given time, these personnel aren't doing, they're not necessarily all working. Humans need to eat. We need to sleep. I like to watch movies. I like to have a break. So does everyone else, alright? You can't have a break if you're always working. So that means that we have duty shifts, okay? So there's a duty shift where half the officers, actually it's about a quarter quarter to a third, depends on the day. Quarter of the personnel are on duty. The other quarter are eating, the other quarter are sleeping, and the other quarter have some time to relax and exercise or do whatever they want. It's their free time. Okay? Usually it's in thirds, and they combine eating and relaxing under one. Depends on the day there. So, with alert status 5, you probably, of the 6, let's say we had 600 personnel on board, you'd have about 200 that were doing their job at any given time. Now, if there's an emergency on the ship, we want everyone on duty. Alright? If we're in the middle of a battle, I don't care that you're trying to get your beauty sleep. I want you manning that gun over there. So, alert status 5 says, hey, everything's fine, normal shifts. Whereas alert status 1 is going to basically say, hey, end of the world, alarms, red alerts, everyone to your battle stations. Everything in between is just gradually getting that way. So, if we hit alert status 5, this right here, what this does is sometimes we're out in space for long periods of time, and we allow crew members to bring their families along. And these are usually only officers, not midshipmen. You have to be fairly high up to do this. The reason why is because we can be out in space to like 5 to 10 years, and if you can imagine not seeing your family for 5 to 10 years, you understand why sometimes we allow families to come on board our ships. Of course, if we're going on a military exploration, then we wouldn't do that, but if we're just, flying through space, trying to find new stars, then yeah, we'd probably bring families with us. What Alert Status 4 does is it tells all those family members, hey, you need to go back to your quarters, alright? You have to stay in there for now. You can't be walking around the ship. Anybody that's not a crew member needs to be in their quarters. This also tells the on-duty crew members, hey, just so you know, we might be running into some trouble, and just a little bit, heads up. Alert Status 3. Alright, so this is when, this is also known as Yellow Alert. This is when we basically say, hey, there is a possibility that there could be a crisis, and who knows how long. It could be 15 minutes, it could be an hour. All off-duty personnel are hereby put on standby. Usually most officers that are asleep will wake up and put on their shoes real fast, and then, kind of sit on their chair and kind of fall asleep until we move to a lower alert status. Officers will quickly try to finish their meal. This is like a heads up there. Hey, we might be standing down to a more dangerous situation in just a second. Alert Status 2. Alright, this is used when you know there is going to be an emergency. You know there will be an emergency in the near future, but it is not right now. Everybody needs to get ready. All crew members are put on duty, so if you're sleeping, you are now supposed to report to your duty station. Now, people can't instantly teleport, so if you can give some people some time with Alert Status 2 before you just jump straight to Alert Status 1, that's great, because then people can run to their stations and they can be there before there's an emergency. So say we know that we are going to a battle. We're going to be in that battle in 5 to 10 minutes. Alright, that's when you go to Alert Status 2. Now, Alert Status 1. Alright, this is used for when the ship is actively in a danger. So, when we are actually in a battle, not when we're about to go into a battle, but when we are in a battle, when there's a bomb on the ship, when there is something that is a real true emergency occurring right now, you click Alert Status 1. Go ahead and do so on your screen. Now, when you do this, it won't on my computer, but most of the computers up on the bridge are going to turn red. There's also the possibility that the lights will turn red, and that's the view screen is going to turn red. This, again, is red alert. This means that we are in danger or under attack. Don't mess around with this. It's not funny. You might think it's funny to go to red alert, and then back to alert status 5, and then alert status 1, and back and forth, and back and forth. And you're like, haha, the light's changing color. What you don't understand is if you unnecessarily did that, first off, that's grounds for being demoted. Okay? You can give you a different job for that. And second, if you were trying to sleep, alright, and suddenly a blaring alarm went off in the middle of your beauty sleep, would you be mad if that alarm wasn't for something important? I know I would. So please, don't go to Alert Status 1 unless it's a true emergency. Now, we're going to talk about these things down here. On my screen it gets cut off. I think it's cut off on your screen too, so you'll just have to kind of memorize it. First off, over here, this is life forms. This is how many people are on our ship, 650 right now. Over here, it says reported, it gets cut off, it's supposed to say reported injuries. This is how many people are in our sick bay. So sick bay is like the ship's hospital, so that 0 right there, that means that there are 0 people in the ship's hospital. Radiation. Some people know what radiation is, some people don't. Radiation is a high form of energy. that can be harmful to humans and other creatures, and it can interfere with our systems. There's high amounts of radiation near certain stars and through nebulas, stuff like that. If you see any radiation and it's above probably about there where my mouse is right now, above a third of the way there, you need to tell the captain. That's a serious problem, and that's a health hazard. Over here, this is supposed to say total coolant. I'll explain what coolant is after we talk about these two. So, these right here are warp engine and impulse engine heat levels. You can monitor how hot the engines are at any given time right here. So, if you want the warp, if you see the warp engines, this bar is getting really high. That means our warp engines are overheating and they need to be cooled down. They can be cooled down two ways. We can either stop our engines, which isn't the most convenient thing to do if we're trying to get to a place, or we can flush coolant. Coolant is like lemonade for engines on a hot summer day. It cools it down super, super fast, alright? Now you can monitor all the ship's coolant right here. Again, this is supposed to say total coolant, but gets cut off. Same thing for the impulse engines. If they get high, I can't talk. If those get high, you're going to talk to the right and left wing officers, alright? And they'll take care of that. That is all for this screen. If you have any questions, please pause the tape, raise your hand, ask a staff member. Otherwise, go ahead, take your mouse all the way up to the very top and click the very last screen. The big red button. Alright? This is what everyone immediately knows what this button's for when they see it. Alright? Even if it didn't have the label, everyone would know what happens when you click this big red button. This is the ship's self-destruct. Alright? Now, you might be thinking, why in the world do we have a self-destruct? And the answer isn't, very pleasant. It's that Starfleet would much rather this ship be completely destroyed than wind up in the hands of another nation. So, let's say we're at war with, the Cardassians. We may or may not, at the time of this training, I'm just saying, hey, hypothetically, we're at war with the Cardassians. I'm not saying we necessarily are at any given time. It's just if we were. And the Cardassians came and they took over the ship, and you looked at your crew count and you saw that there was an extra 1,000 Cardassians on our ship, and you knew there is no way we are ever going to be able to take back this ship. That is when you consider self-destruct. No other time should you be messing around with this button, because it's serious business. Alright? This can kill everyone on our ship, and self-destruct isn't just a small explosion. It makes the biggest possible explosion it can. So that means if you self-destruct near other ships, it will probably damage those ships as well. Heaven forbid if you self-destruct in a starbase. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness gracious. The damage that would be done. Don't mess around with this. It's serious stuff, okay? Now, before you can activate self-destruct, you have to set your passwords. Now, Admiral would just be the captain's, so the captain will come over here, and he's going to type in his password. We'll say it's 1234 for the sake of right now. This is your password. This is top secret. Nobody's allowed to know this password, not even the captain. We require 2 passwords to blow up the ship. Both you and the captain have to agree that it is okay for the ship to blow up. If either one of you cannot agree, then the ship doesn't explode, alright? So, what you're going to do is, I'm just going to type in 1234 again. Enter your own passwords when the mission starts. Come over here and hit Activate Self-Destruct. Now, this is going to ask for the captain's password. Again, for sake of argument, right now it's 1234. I hope it's more advanced than that. Alright, and first officer's passcode is going to be 1234. And hit Submit. Now, when you do this, if you enter your passwords correctly, it's going to say countdown time in minutes. 16 minutes is what we have statistically proven is the amount of time required for everyone to safely get to an escape pod. Safely being the key word. So that could be a nice stroll. 8 minutes is everyone running, alright? 8 minutes, you might even leave a few people behind. Like those poor people in sickbay, I'm sorry, they're probably not going to be evacuated. All the sickbay personnel are going to have to just run to get to the escape pods. It takes a while to get there, and the doors are, most doors, you got to think, the ship could be very heavily damaged, alright? Normal routes might not be possible. People might have to go up through several decks and then back down in order to get to their escape pods. 3 minutes, good luck. You might get half the crew. Probably less. And again, if you think the ship is going to be destroyed if we don't, you gotta blow it up right now because they're coming, you'd hit 0 minutes. Okay? For the sake of argument right now, I'm gonna hit 16. Now, when you hit submit, this is going to start appearing on everyone's screen. Now, it's not counting down on my screen, but it will count down on everybody else's screen, right? Everyone's going to flip out as soon as you do this, so be careful, because if everyone's trying to turn it now and this pops up, everyone's going to be screaming. How you fix this? Hit the X, okay? Then come down here and hit not change passwords, deactivate self-destruct, okay? This is going to ask for your passwords again. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, whoops. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then hit submit. That will deactivate the self-destruct. If you forget those passwords, we're blowing up. There is no way to stop it. So please, do not forget your passwords. Huge responsibility. Alright, so that is all for the first officer station. Congratulations, you are now an official Starfleet officer. What I'm going to invite you to do now is I want you to go up to the captain, and I want you to talk to the captain. I want you to tell the captain, Captain, I am here to help you. I'm your right-hand man or woman or whatever you are. I am here to protect you and to make sure that your mission is completed. If there's ever anything that you need done, let me know and I will make sure it gets done. Alright? Tell him that he or she should never have to get out of their captain's chair. The captain's chair is comfy for a reason. You will walk around and tell everyone what the captain wants to tell them, alright? The captain should just have to lean back in his chair and say, Number 1, please tell the right-wing officer to set a course to Vulcan, or something like that, alright? So, that is all for your training. I invite you again to go talk to your captain. You two should be best of friends. It's going to be a little bit awkward if you want. So, well, I wish you the best of luck, First Officer Jackson out.